Now, at the moment, this is the only working prototype anywhere in the world. Best not dink it then. Whoops! Oh, he dinked the cones! This week, Click hits the slopes before the slopes hit back. We'll look at the mountaintop tech that helps warn those below when trouble is brewing. Plus, check out this move. We take a first look at Sony's response to a Wii challenge. And a family car that runs on 48 batteries. We take an electrifying drive around a few circuits. You see what I did there? Excellent. And then some more mouth-watering delights, the sights to see in Webscape. Welcome to Click. I'm Spencer Kelly. Don't you wish sometimes that you could leave all this high-tech gumph behind and go get some fresh mountain air? Well, that is exactly where we're heading first this week, to the mountains. Now, if you've ever walked up or skied down a mountain, you will know that there are some particular hazards you have to watch out for. Mudslides, avalanches, and so on. But if you live in that kind of region, you are permanently at risk from anything Mother Nature can chuck down the slopes at you. Well, David Reed has been to Italy to see the technology which is helping to give scientists a bit of early warning, the first sign of trouble.
The history of Italy's Aosta Valley is punctuated by life-threatening floods and landslides like this in 1978, this in 1981, 1993, and again in 1996 and 2000. When the snow melts up here, or it rains in late summer, the water, and lots of it, ends up in the valleys down below. It's why predicting the weather, especially what's happening up here at altitude, is such a serious business. But how do you take regular measurements in a place so high up and hostile? Well, you can take a helicopter up here, as we did. Alternatively, you can do as environment researcher Umberto Moradicello does and rely on the innovative application of new technology. We're 2,000 metres up in the Italian Alps. The Matterhorn is that way. Here, Italian scientists have set up remote weather stations which allow them to monitor the mountain environment through the mobile telephone network.
This allows us to have in our office, at our desks, real-time data measured in remote sites. This means we can always verify that the equipment is up and running, but also means we can remotely gather the data we need, even when there are intense storms and it's impossible, even with a helicopter, to come up here.
Time then to leave the mountaintop and see where the data gathered by the weather stations ends up. One place is Aosta's forecasting department. They're hooked into the network of weather stations and compare the data they gather with the historical values the department has catalogued from disasters in the past.
Our territory is particularly fragile, and we've counted almost 5,000 mud or landslides in history, and we've had a whole series of floods. The last in 2000 was particularly serious. So in the last 10 years, we've implemented systems to give us the information to see if we're about to have a very serious weather event.
And the mountain tech doesn't end there, because further down the Aosta Valley, another team is using time-lapse and 3D imaging to monitor another potentially hazardous high-altitude development. A hanging glacier off the remote 4,400-metre Grand Juras Peak is in danger of shearing off and falling. Scientists are using 3D imaging to study the ice to anticipate when another chunk is going to shear off. Part of their magnificence is their menace, a thrill that those who live in the shadow of mountains would probably rather do without. Remote weather stations and digital imaging are not going to entirely eradicate the risks posed by these giant neighbours, but could help blunt the full force of their fury.
David Reed. Right, now time to take a brief look at some of the big stories making tech headlines this week.
First off, a milestone in the internationalisation of the web. This week, the net's governing body, ICANN, has greenlit a first wave of countries to use non-Latin characters in web addresses. Saudi Arabia, Egypt and the UAE will be the first to use Arabic characters to describe the end of a URL, whilst Russians can use Cyrillic in place of the Latin .ru. More countries will come on stream in the coming months. Police have seized the PC belonging to Jason Chen. Last week, the Gizmodo editor posted a video of a phone that appeared to be a prototype of the new iPhone. It had been left in a bar by an Apple employee and sold on to the tech blog. Gizmodo says Californian police have violated state and federal law by using a search warrant to confiscate the property of a journalist. On to other mobile matters, and PDA pioneers Palm have been purchased by HP for the princely price of $1.2 billion. After previously popularising the PDA in the 90s, Palm have recently fallen off the pace, though HP say they'll take Palm's webOS to help it expand into new markets. A perfect partnership? Perhaps. Finally, talking ends of eras, say sayonara to the floppy disk. Sony says it will follow its move pulling out of international markets by halting production from next year, even for Japanese customers. It will mark the conclusion of a full 40-year run for the storage medium, but let's face it, with only a couple of megs on board, floppies are now more useful as beer mats.
The success of Nintendo's video games console, the Wii, and specifically its motion-sensitive controller, has inspired a generation of gamers to get off their sofas and jump around their living rooms. But it also seems to have inspired Ninty's rivals to create motion-sensing devices of their own. Mark Chislak's been waving his hands in the air like he just don't care.
5 years ago, it all seemed so simple. Sony and Microsoft proclaimed that the next generation of home video games consoles will be dominated by machines with high-definition, pin-sharp graphics, machines which could act as a multimedia hub, capable of downloading high-def movies, capable of storing and playing music and photos. In short, machines capable of lots and lots of different things. Then in 2006, along came Nintendo, who didn't just rain, but dropped a tsunami's worth of bad weather on Sony and Microsoft's high-def parades. The Wii, with its childishly crude graphics capabilities and its simple motion controller, captured the imaginations of gamers and non-gamers alike. Ninty's little white box shifted 70 million units, becoming the biggest-selling home video games console in the world. Sales figures like that tend to get noticed from space, let alone by rival manufacturers. And Sony and Microsoft have their own motion-sensing controllers, which are due to be released by the end of the year. The first to break cover is Sony with this, the Move motion-sensing controller. In order to use this device, you need a PlayStation Eye camera and a Move controller. Inside the controller lurks a 3-axis gyroscope and 3-axis accelerometer. It also has this coloured bauble on top. The camera looks for the little coloured ball, and it can then figure out in 3-dimensional space what movement I'm actually making. So, if I move like this, it's replicated on screen. If I move like this, it's replicated on screen. And if I move like this, the action happens on screen. So, what's the experience of using Move like? broadly similar to using Nintendo's Wii, actually. On this evidence, I didn't really notice any improvements in accuracy or the speed in which my movements were interpreted on screen. In fairness, though, all of the games Sony showed off were still works in progress. Third-person actioner SOCOM 4 and arcade-style title Shoot demonstrated the system's pistol-packing prowess. Sports Champions Gladiator Duel Mode involves swordplay and blunt instruments, while Move Party and TV Superstars are more family-friendly, arm-waving affairs. And of course, the PS3 has a lot more processing horsepower under its skin, so the visuals are a vast improvement over the Wii's efforts. Both Move for the PlayStation 3 and Natal for the Xbox 360 are due for release by the end of the year. It's then that we'll find out if these competing motion control systems can loosen Nintendo's grip on the home console market.
Mark Chislak getting the first exercise he's had all year. Who'd have thought it, eh? One games company has a great idea and suddenly all of its rivals come up with something remarkably similar. Remarkable. Not sure if you recognise this place, but today we are at Canary Wharf, home to space-age office blocks and a place which definitely has one eye on the future. Now down here in this underground car park there is some proof of that. This is a charging station for electric cars. These were installed in 2005, obviously in the hope that sometime around now we'd all be whizzing around in vehicles that were cheap, lean and green. Or in this case, orange. But really, how many electric cars have you actually seen on the road? So, could the electric car finally be coming of age? Well, Nissan certainly hopes so. Meet the EV12, something that will be known as the Leaf when it rolls off the production line in December 2010, making it the world's first globally produced fully electric car. Now, at the moment, this is the only working prototype anywhere in the world. Best not dink it then. Now, the first thing you'll notice about electric cars, which I absolutely love, is this. Just turn the engine on. Absolutely no noise. Right, you ready? Here we go. You do get that futuristic whirring sound as you pull away. Now, I have to be honest, I was expecting to sit in an electric car and get a really different driving experience to that of a normal car. It's not that different. The acceleration is weird. There are no gears, so it's a much smoother acceleration than an automatic car. But it's not the instant speed that I was expecting, and that's deliberate. If they literally just hardwired the accelerator to the battery, you would get G-forces galore. As soon as you put your foot hard down, the thing will wheel spin and go up to top speed immediately. They've had to put something artificial in to make it more like the acceleration curve of a normal car. That said, that's pretty nippy. So you have a 100-mile range approximately in one of these. That's no good if you are a long-distance driver, especially at the moment when there are pretty much no charging stations around. But for a local family car, probably don't do 100 miles in 5 or 6 days. So as long as you are prepared and as long as you remember to charge it up the night before it goes completely dead, you should be okay for a few days worth of driving to the shops, to school or to see friends. Braking is regenerative, which means that as you hit the brake pedal, the energy that you create is being put back into the battery. Ooh, don't want to knock a cone, not with everyone watching, not while we're being filmed. Whoops! Oh, I think the cone has the working engine in, but over here we have more of an idea of what the finished car will look like. And the first question you need answered is, where's the lecky go? Well, here you go. You've got two sockets here. The smaller one is for home charging. Now, if you plug it into your home mains electricity, it could take a number of hours to charge. Or, if you're lucky enough to find one of the quick charge stations Nissan are hoping to put up around the country, you can use a fat socket. And there you can charge the car up to 80% of the battery capacity in about half an hour. Right, inside, dashboard of the Starship Enterprise. Everything is suitably space age in here. There's the gear stick, if we can call it that. It's more like a forward back button. And there's the sat nav. Now that's interesting because it will tell you the location of your nearest charging station, which is particularly handy in the early days, of course, when there aren't that many. Now it's time for Webscape. And this week, Kate Russell is trying to persuade us all that the web is like an onion. Apparently, it has many, many layers. And I suppose the more you peel them away, the more it makes you cry.
You're right about the layers, Spencer, but they shouldn't be making you cry. Augmented reality is one of the new mobile web essentials, and at layar.com you'll find information about one of the most prolific tools for creating these reality-rich apps for your smartphone. In a nutshell, the technology allows developers to show real-time digital data on top of the real-world view, as seen through your mobile phone's camera. It's like stepping into the future. You need to give the app permission to use your location, and then you just hold your phone up, take a look around, and the layers will show you what's available in your immediate vicinity. You can even get directions painted onto a map. There's a huge range of apps already available and growing day by day. Just browse the Layar catalogue page for an idea of what's out there, or you can download the Layar browser to your iPhone or Android and access them from there. Would-be developers can find plenty of information to get started under Create. All you need is an original idea and a sprinkling of passion to start viewing the world around you in layers. Microsoft recently released Office 2010 to beta, but if you prefer to stray from the beaten track for your software choices, you should bookmark alternative2.net. This is one of those helpful, if not terribly beautiful websites which lights the way to a variety of applications as alternatives to the market leaders. Just search for the app you want to replace, and the beauty here is that most of the alternatives are open source, making them free for home users to download. With more and more open source software being written all the time, this site is a great place to review your options. And the likes tag beside each entry makes it super easy to see what's popular, so you can make the right decision from the start. It makes me warm inside to see that Mac and Linux users are well catered for here. And if you click through to the mobile section, you'll notice a range of tabs that should keep most phone users happy. This is a speedy and convenient way to find the best software alternatives for your desktop or mobile device. I don't know about you, but I really hate wasting food. Supercook.com is a recipe search engine that aims to rid your kitchen of waste by trawling through some of the best cooking sites on the web to return a mouth-watering selection of dishes that use only what you have available. Just add the ingredients in your cupboard and fridge and then browse through the list of possible recipes until you see something you like the look of. If you register, you can save your favourite recipes for quick and easy reference, and the site will even suggest a useful shopping list so you can expand your repertoire. It's like having your own head chef running the kitchen, only without all the tears and tantrums. Talking of tears and tantrums, as the UK ramps up for the general election in less than a week, the internet is awash with information and resources, and all the parties are keen to jump on the social media bandwagon. 10 Downing Tweets is a Twitter aggregator with some cute-looking graphics. Twitter Noise is flashed up, and there's a link to see politicians' tweets and some nice statistics. You can even cast your vote in their online election. it will be interesting to see how that compares to the actual results. If you still have no idea which way to swing, VoteMatch has a nice click quiz that matches your views to party manifestos. It gives you a percentage score and lets you see how your answers compare. When political commentators talk about safe party seats, you might be wondering if it's worth going to the polling stations at all. Voter Power tells you how much weight your vote carries according to how marginal your constituency is. And if you've just heard enough about the UK elections, let off steam with this cheeky little flash game. This election is just a big yoke to some people.
Kate Russell and Webscape. And if you can top Kate's selections, tell us about them. Email your favourite sites and the apps you're using right now to click at bbc.co.uk. You can also get us on Twitter. We are at BBC Click. That's it for now. Our website should keep you happy until the next programme. The address is bbc.co.uk/click. Enjoy that. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.